Hello again, beautiful people. Hello, hello, hello. It's Nameless here again. I just gotta say, it's wonderful to be here with all of you. All 8 of you, or 8,000. Whoever many people watch this show. Right now, it's not many. In the future, it could be very many. So, if you're watching this today, August 15th, 2017, the day I made this episode, welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you're here 5 years from now, in the year 2022, hello future. How's it going? Anything good happening? Probably not. We'll see though. I guess we'll see when the future happens. Anyway, no. I gotta apologize in advance. The topic for today's episode got me a little bit nervous. Like it's a really good topic, but it's a really powerful topic. It's got me all jittery and anxious. Because like there's a lot of stuff going on in the world today. I don't always talk about world events on this show, but sometimes if world events are crazy as shit, I have to bring it up. I have to talk about it sometimes because it can't not talk about it. It's like turning a blind eye, and I don't like doing that. So, world events with Trump and President Trump of the United States and the President Kim Jong-un of North Korea are about to start World War III, and it might be a nuclear war. Yippee! No, not really. That's a really bad fucking thing, and we should do everything in our power to stop it. Now, I could sit here and rant about it and repeat myself like I've 10,000 times over. Say, be who you are. Go live in love. Stop being violent. Get along with each other. If you don't like the people on this planet, be yourself and go do you. Stop worrying about what other people are doing and just be yourself. That's what everybody loves. That's what everybody needs. That's the way to live the happiest life, is to just let your own essence out and like just express yourself in the most positive and happiest way you can, because it'll make you feel good. Like, don't do it to make other people like you. Who gives a shit what they think? Express yourself as you are, because it feels good. It feels good as shit to just let yourself out. You know, stop trying to be something you're not. Be who you are. Just be who you are. Just be who you are. Yeah, there's nobody here but you as good as you are. So baby, just be who you are. Yeah, you can feel it in your heart, and there's no one as true, cause there's no one but you. No one worse, no one better. It has to be you. No one but you to do what needs to be done. You're the only one who can do it. Just be who you are. Just be who you are. Yeah, there's nobody here but you as good as you are. So baby, just be who you are. I love that song. I wrote it. I like singing it. I don't like it because I wrote it. Well, I kind of do. I mean, it's my own material. Of course, I love it. But that's just a happy song. I love singing it for people, and a lot of people like hearing it. But it's not the first time I've sang this song on a show, and it's like, I don't know, sometimes I just have to sing a little bit, just to get the point across a little better. Just be who you are. That's the best thing you can do. Now, I don't want to sit here and rant about that for another 20 minutes, though. I've done that, like, last 10 episodes straight. It's like, maybe let's talk about something more interesting. Something more powerful than the same basic bullshit. Because, I mean, the stuff I say on the show can sometimes be really powerful and important. To me, it feels repetitive, though. Like, even if it is a good thing to say, even if people need to hear it, I'm tired of saying it for the moment, though. I want to talk about something more interesting, because if the world blows up tomorrow and we had a chance to stop it by averting our attention to something else, I mean, I think we should take that chance. I think, like, one of the only things that I can think of that's more profound and powerful than nuclear war is DMT. So we'll get right into that. Today's episode is going to be all about DMT. I spent 4 minutes doing intro and getting to the point because, like I said, I'm nervous. Like, I had a little trouble, like, just getting to the point because that's a really strong fucking subject. Okay, so this isn't the only episode we're going to do about DMT. I want to do a lot of different episodes about it. Get other people on who've experienced it, for them to tell stories. But just to kind of give the introduction, I'm going to tell a story today. It's going to be the very first time I tried DMT, and that'll kick off the whole slew of DMT-themed episodes. But so, let's just get the party going. I like this hat. I haven't worn it in a while. I'm going to take a dab. I got my A special beer here. Somebody told me to try one of these glasses. You freeze it, put the beer in there. I mean, it's supposed to be good. But anyway, just a note for anybody who smokes hash or smokes pot for any other reason. A lot of people who smoke have their very own particular ways of smoking. I have to say, my preferred way of smoking is out of a bong or water pipe. Then ask the question, why are you using a pen? Why not get a nice dab rig and show off? Well, this pen is very special to me. This is not the pen I used when I tried DMT for the first time, but this is the device I used to experience DMT the most recent time. It was a few months ago. Now, let's get right into it. I'm gonna take this dab and we'll get right into the story of the first time I tried it, because it's a pretty crazy story. So yeah, the very first time I tried DMT was a surprise for me. Was out of the blue. I had no idea this was even going to happen to me this day. It was the wildest thing. Now, when I first heard of DMT, I don't remember what year it was specifically. This was like 5 or 6 years ago. This is before I even started making music. That's when I first heard of it. And then I spent maybe 3 or 4 years doing research on it. Like, not continuous research. It wasn't like day and night that I was looking up stuff about DMT. But every couple of weeks, I'd do another Google search or a YouTube binge or whatever. I was trying to learn something about DMT. Watched a few documentaries on it. Read a few people's stories. Read about the chemical composition and some shit like that. And there's not a lot of information out there on DMT. I'd like to tell you a bit more about it in later episodes. We'll get there. But just so if you don't know what DMT is a psychoactive psychedelic substance that I would say is a catalyst for one of the most profound experiences that any human being could have. And I don't know how else to say it other than that. Like, I could not describe the specific DMT experience because it's been different for me every single time. And every single time has been just as profound or more profound than the last. So say that the most recent time I did it was 1,000 times crazier than the first time I did it. And the first time I did it was just insane in and of itself. So anyway, we'll get back to the story. So I'd been wanting to try it for years and years, since like my early, like mid-teenage years. I think I discovered DMT at 16, and I'd just been learning about it. And then at the age of 20, at the age of 19, I finally got to try it at 19. Anyway, so it's about 3 years I spent learning about it. And then, in my 19th year, for some reason, I got really interested in psychedelics, so I started doing a lot of research on all psychedelics, and just, experiences of the unreal, or the supernatural, or, like, interdimensional contact, aliens, and religion. Like, I was researching all this kind of stuff, because I felt that there was some kind of connection between it all. And I haven't found that connection still to this day, but I still feel like that some of these things kind of are connected, or they're related, or they're comparable. If they're not related, I don't fucking know. But all of that stuff interests me. So it got immensely interesting. Like, I just woke up one day and it was just like I was enthralled to go find out as much as I could about all the different stuff that I found interesting. I mean, and some of it, I'm sure, is completely unrelated. It could have just been stuff that I wanted to know about, but DMT was one of those things. And I was also really, really interested in astral projection. Now, I wouldn't say that there's like a specific provable correlation between DMT and astral projection, but at the same time, I have astral projected with the help of DMT. That's all I can say about that. Those are stories for other days, though. So anyway, the first time I tried it, it was the spring of 2014. Yes, the spring of 2014. Close to, who cares what the day was? And I woke up one day, very late. I mean, I had this really fucked off sleeping schedule where I had been staying up till like 8 in the morning and sleeping until like 5 p.m. And this happened to be one of those days where I just, I slept in until like late in the evening, and I was awoken on this day to a couple of friends who were knocking on the door. Now, I can't say who because they would want to remain anonymous, but so 3 friends came knocking, and they just showed up at my door. I didn't know they were coming over. I had no plan for this. It just happened. Like, I woke up to the knock, and the second I opened the door, the friend who had the stuff, he comes right in and he says, "I have a gift for you." And he had this look on his face like he'd just met Jesus, or like he was Jesus. It was this really profound, calm, loving, like he really thought he was giving me a gift, like something that was gonna benefit me. Like he told me afterwards that he said he felt like he needed to do it, like something was compelling him to do this for me, to share this substance with me, and I had been wanting to try it for years anyway. And I think to the months prior to this event, I had been focusing on it really hard. I'd been just like begging the universe and praying and wishing. It was like, "Oh, give me DMT, send me DMT, somehow, some way, send me DMT. I need to try this. I need it." I didn't even know why, because there's not enough information out there on DMT to really get a good idea of what's gonna happen. Like, you could research DMT day and night. You still are not going to be prepared for what happens when you actually consume the substance. It's 10,000 times more profound than anything you've ever experienced before. Or at least that's how it was for me. Other people may give different accounts of their experience. I don't care. That's not about them today. Today is about my first time trying it. So anyway, he comes over, he has it, and he had it like it's like a crack pipe. Like a little, it's just a little glass pipe with a golden, well, it's not gold, it's clear. It's a clear glass tube with a little orb down at the end of it, and it's a tiny hole at the top. You put the substance into the orb, and you heat it from the bottom with like a mini blowtorch, and you inhale through the tube, and well, that's how we did it. We just is vaporizing it. It felt very weird when I did it. It's like, it feels like you're smoking like some hard drug, like meth or something like that. I was like, but the second I inhaled, just to clarify what happened, we didn't do it right there at the doorstep. So my friends are inside the house. I take them back to my bedroom. We all sit down in a circle on the floor, and the 2 friends are sitting like several, like they were kind of a little bit back from the circle, like they weren't right next to me and the guy who had it. They gave me some space. And then the other guy, he was sitting right next to me just so that he could like do the whole smoking process for me. Like I was just sitting there. He heated it up, put it up to my mouth, I inhaled, and I took the whole hit all at once, and which is actually supposedly very hard to do, but I smoke a lot of weed, so my lungs are just like trained to deal with like the harsh smoke, and so I was able to do the whole inhale of DMT all in one go to where there was nothing left in the pipe, and then I just held it in, and supposedly there's a 60-second threshold from when you first ingest the DMT smoke to when it's activated, so you want to try to hold the smoke in for the whole 60 seconds, and if you can't take the whole hit all at once, and say maybe you have to like take 3 or 4 hits off the pipe to get all of the smoke into your lungs, then you just have to do that within 60 seconds. But I didn't have to worry about multiple hits. I just held it in, and that was really hard. Like, I don't know how I managed to do that. I think I just like forced myself to do it just through willpower. Because my friend was sitting next to me, he's like, "No, hold it in, hold it in, hold it in, hold it in." And I didn't even know about the 60-second thing until like months later, after I did more research on it. I found out about the 60-second thing, but he made me hold it in for 60 I had to hold my breath for a whole minute with this like burning hot shit in my lungs. And finally I exhaled, and that's when it starts. The minute the smoke starts to come up. It hasn't even exited my mouth. And I'm describing this from the present point of view, not past tense, present tense. So the smoke is coming up. It hasn't even exited my mouth. And I hear this really high-pitched ringing. It sounds like 900 hertz or higher than that, even like somewhere in the thousands. Really, really high-pitched ringing. And then it stayed like that for 2 or 3 seconds. Just... And it did that. It stayed like consistent for a second, and then it got higher and higher and higher, and it just kept jumping up. It did that, and then like it got so high-pitched that I was like, how am I hearing this? This sounds like something only dogs could hear. And it continued to accelerate. The pitching never stopped rising. It never hurt, though. Like, I never felt like my ears were in pain or like it was ringing in my ears. Like, it was just this pitch increasing, and like it was going up in pitch continuously, and it started to sound like I'm not a Christian, but for lack of a better word, it sounded like angels singing, like this really high pitched, like just heavenly gospel. And I'm just like, what the? I don't believe in angels. What's going on? And so that's what's happening in my ears, and then in front of me in my eyes. Within the first second of like the smoke is exiting my mouth, and in front of me in my vision, I can see the room is changing. Like everything in front of me is going from 3D to it looked like 4-dimensional. Like when you see a computer simulation of what a mathematical interpretation of the 4th dimension looks like, that's what it looked like in front of me. And like I hadn't seen interpretations of the 4th dimension before this, so like this wasn't psychosomatic. This was like I'm just seeing this weird like cubic structure form, like where 3D reality is going cubic. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. Like everything was getting all square and cubey and expanded, like there was this additional dimension there that just wasn't there before. And that's what's happening really, really fast. Like within 5 seconds, the whole room was gone, and everything was this like spherical, cubic shape, and it was this color that I'd never seen before. It was like this mist of multiple colors that I'd never seen before that were all vibrating and buzzing together to form one solid color that I'd also never seen before, which I don't know if you could even imagine that. Like it was one color, and when I was looking at it, and it looked like one color, and then within it there were all these other colors just coming through, just these little fuzzy dots that I was like, I'd never seen any of these colors before, none of them, and they all formed together to this one connected like super color, and it was just this buzzing fuzz, and then like this was all within 5 seconds, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds in, my body is gone, and I'm still hearing the high pitch, this ringing, this singing, but it's changed. It doesn't feel like I'm hearing it. It's just there. Like, it's just in the air. Like, all of a sudden I can, like, feel the sound rather than just hear it. And, like, my body is gone. And then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Like, so within 15 seconds, the room is gone. All I can hear is this high-pitched ringing. And I'm seeing colors I've never seen before. And everything is this fuzz. It's, like, all of reality. And, like, also, at 15 seconds in, the cubic nature was gone too. Like, everything had expanded, and, like, it went from, like, that one additional dimension, where, like, reality was expanding with one additional dimension, and then 10 seconds later, there are, like, 1,000 other additional dimensions that had formed with it, so it's not 4D anymore, it's, like, infinity dimension, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like, there was no dimension. It was beyond definition of mathematical dimension. Everything is just this infinite space of void, and these fuzzy dots of color, and like these dots are like pencil dots. They look like the head of a pin. They're not sizable enough for me to discern one from the next. It looks like if you've ever seen a TV go fuzzy, where it looks like the black and white ants and the black and white fuzz on a TV. It looked like that, but with colors I'd never seen before, and all of it collectively together is one other color that's like a super color. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. It's like I lost all awareness, I wasn't conscious anymore. Like, I wasn't like, within 15 seconds, I'm in the fuzz, my body's gone, but, like, I'm mentally there, my mind is still there. With 20 seconds, mind is gone. There's no me anymore. It just is the fuzz. It just, this state of beingness, where you could say, I am, without the I. Like, there was no I, it just am. It's like, this is. There's no me, there's no individual, it is. It simply is. And that was like this metastasis of everything was at this equilibrium. All of existence was this one singularity. Like, everything had an individual color, but it all comes together in this one super color. And I could feel an emotional sensation, but no thought. Like, it felt emotionally blissful, but there was no form to me, though. It's not like I felt the bliss. It's like the bliss just was. If that makes any sense. It was simply existing within all things. Or all things were the bliss. The bliss was the fuzz. And it stayed like that for I don't know how long. It, to me, felt like 10 hours or more of just this expanded, fuzzy bliss of non-existent, like, I did not exist anymore. It just was the fuzzy bliss. And then, I started to come down, I guess you could say, like, come down from the trip, if that's how you want to describe it in your mental programming or interpretation of my story. I don't give a shit how you interpret it, but I started to come back. To me, it didn't feel like coming down from a drug. It felt like coming back from being in a place. It felt like I was there, and then I was being, like, sent home, or, like, well, not necessarily sent, because there wasn't anything doing it to me. It's like I was consciously choosing to return to this three-dimensional space in the physical body, and it didn't feel like an out-of-body experience or like a ghost moment, how some people describe astral projection. Like, it wasn't the soul returning to the body, it was like beyond that. It's like I went from the fuzzy, blissful nothingness to, like, atoms reforming and re-solidifying one by one until everything turned back into my room. And then I was sitting there with my friends, and it didn't happen fast. Like, the re-solidification of reality happened very slowly, or to me it felt slow. It was probably more like 15 seconds, but it felt like an hour of just, like, the mist was collecting together, clumping atom by atom, molecule by molecule into solid formations until reality had recreated itself. And it was the most profound sensation, because, like, part of me didn't want it to happen, but it was like a 50-50 feeling, where, like, 50% of me didn't want to return to reality, the other 50% of me did. It was like, as my awareness and consciousness slowly returned, or, like, my sense of awareness, because, like, the whole time I was in the fuzzy bliss, I was aware of it, but not from a personal point of view. I didn't identify with it as I am a person in the bliss. It just was, like, it was more like, I am the bliss. I am this fuzz. I don't have a body or a beingness. I just am this nothingness. And then I started to remember having a body and a form and a life and existence and a purpose. And that, like, the remembrance of that slowly started to seep into the fuzzy emptiness. And then I kind of felt this pull from within somewhere, well, I guess within my being, where I felt this pull to return to the physical side of things, to go back to my life. Like, oh, you're not done. Like, and then I kind of had this sensation of people near me looking for me. Like, I suddenly felt this like this frantic panic was like, oh shit, if I stay in the fuzzy emptiness, if I just don't go back, then they're gonna be looking for me. Like, they want me to come back. It's not like I didn't really want to come back, but I felt compelled to return so that other people weren't sad that I was gone, if that makes sense. And so then I started the resolidification process, where it's like I chose to do it. I chose to return from the fuzzy emptiness to the physical. And that, like I said, it was probably 15 seconds that it took for this to happen, but it felt like an hour of just sort of, everything is sort of, like it was getting thicker. Everything was getting thicker and thicker until all of a sudden it felt solid again. And then I could see my friends in front of me, and it was something that happened right at the very end that I can't remember. It was like right when things got solid again, I could still see the fuzziness everywhere. It's like the fuzzy emptiness and normal reality were like coinciding for about a minute, and I had this really weird, like, energy vision. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but like, maybe it wasn't energy vision, maybe fuzz vision, we'll call it that, where like, my friends were talking in a really low volume. They were like describing what they were seeing me doing, like they were commenting on my behavior, but I think they were trying to be quiet because they didn't want to break the trance or whatever I was in. And I could hear them all the time. Like, as soon as things got solid again, I could hear what they were saying, but I could see it too. It's like their words were coming out of their mouth in really specific shapes, and the shapes were made of that fuzz, like that colorful, empty fuzziness. And it's like every time they made a noise, it made another fuzz shape in the air, and then I could see them colliding with each other. Like, these shapes were like hitting each other, like exploding in the air and sending more fuzz everywhere. And it's like, it felt unpleasant to me. Like, I'm sitting there watching this, like these fuzzy explosions of who knows what, and I was just like, oh, they shouldn't be speaking right now. Like, and I don't know what that means. It was probably just a random thought, but it felt so real. Like, it felt like it meant something. It's like the things they were saying were creating a negative ripple effect rather than a positive one, because then, like, as soon as I saw the fuzzy things colliding and exploding in the air and making more fuzz, and it was just this violent reaction, when I saw that, I told them to shut up. I was like, shut up, everybody shut up, stop talking, let it go still, let things go still. And they didn't know what I was saying. They're like, let things go still, what are you talking about? And I was like, shut up, stop talking, shh. And when they stopped talking, everything went still, and the fuzziness all kind of settled down, and it was just back to that state of blissful equilibrium. And then somebody said something very nice and calm, and they looked at me, they're like, oh, he's back, we can talk to him. And so they looked directly at me, and they're like, hey, how was it? And I could still see the fuzziness coming, like, and when they asked me that question, it made like a really positive, beautiful shape that didn't explode. Like, I felt it come at me, and like it just sort of washed over me, and it felt really pleasant, like a warm breeze. And I was like, oh. And this is just an idea. I could be wrong about this, but the end part of the experience, that fuzzy sound thing, I had this idea of like, what if when you speak, it has an effect on the world? Like, it actually has this impact, this real impact, where you say something and it can go out and interact with the things around you. You say something negative, it like explodes out around you and has this violent reaction. You say something positive, it has this warm, inviting, and loving reaction, which actually benefits that around you. And that's probably such a hippy-dippy, nonsensical way to describe that. Maybe someone more intelligent could find a more eloquent way of describing this realization I had. But yes, that concludes the story of the first time I did DMT. And I guess to wrap it up, I'll say that wasn't necessarily the end of the experience, because for about an hour afterwards, I still felt like I was connected to that space. Like even right now, just talking about that fuzzy, empty color space, I feel connected to it, talking about it, and like it wasn't just, it wasn't a hallucination. It feels real. Just talking about it, it feels like it was a real space that I experienced consciously. It feels very, very similar to what I experience when I get into a deep meditative state, like when I practice Zen Buddhism and I go into a very, very deep meditation. I get like within an inch of that colorful, fuzzy emptiness, and so it's like, I don't know what that means. You can take whatever you want from this, but that's the story. And like, there's a few other things that happened that were kind of funny, but they don't involve the DMT experience. They were just funny things that happened in the room after I came back and we were talking, and it was some silly stuff. I'll have to tell you that another day because I don't want to take away from the DMT story. That's more important. And there's also, I think in another episode I'll have to tell you guys what it felt like for the hour after the trip. No, fuck, I'll just tell you now. I don't know why I'm like trying to draw it out. I'll just give you a quick version of it. Like for the hour after the trip, I wouldn't call it a trip. I shouldn't call it that because it's not tripping. It's not like doing acid or mushrooms. It's so much more different. It's like an actual profound experience of something real. And I've never felt that on any drug. Like not even with weed. There's times where you can tell the difference between what you're feeling because of the substance and what's real. With DMT, it feels real. It's like you can't draw the line between what the substance is inducing and what's really there. It's like the substance is just a gateway that shows you something that really is there. And that's just my opinion of it. I could be wrong. It could be bullshit. But who cares? That, to me, it feels real, and it's so powerful and profound. I'm like, I feel like we need to start looking into DMT. It's like Terrence McKenna said that at one point. Was it Terrence McKenna or Joe Rogan? I don't know. I don't care who said it, but somebody quoted that one way to save the world would be to get all the world's politicians and all the world's leaders together in a room and have them all try DMT together, because it's the only thing that would do the job fast enough. Like it's the only thing that could change these people long term, just as soon as we need it to happen. And I'm having trouble phrasing what I was trying to say. Anyway, so for the hour after I came down from the experience, I don't know, the world just felt different. It's like the sequence of events of a normal day did not occur the way they should. It's like the world outside was reacting to my experience with the substance. And now that sounds insane, but I'm just saying that's just what it felt like. And that was all tied into that feeling of connection to the fuzzy, colorful emptiness. It's like it's so like I still had one foot in that colorful empty space, and because I still had a foot in there, it was like bleeding into this world. It's like I lift the door open a little bit. And now, I could be wrong. That's just what it felt like. I'm just telling you my opinion and my interpretation of what I felt. And And for those of you who don't know, consuming DMT lasts about 15 minutes. Tops. The experience I had, like I told you, when I was in the colorful, empty, fuzzy space, it felt like 10 hours or more. And also, it also felt like no time. Like, I say 10 hours, like that, but that was my exaggerated example of a long time. Like, it didn't feel like 10 hours specifically, like I timed it. I could say, without a doubt, comfortably, that I was there for an infinite amount of time. That there was no way to measure the amount of time. It was endless. that could be one accurate way to describe it. I mean, 10 hours seems too short compared to that. It's like, yeah, it was endless. That's what it felt like. But then when I came back, as soon as I was back in my room with my friends, I checked the clock. It had only been 4 minutes. And so yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap today's show up with that. It's the first time I did DMT. I hope you enjoyed the story. And if you've ever tried DMT, leave a story about it in the comments. I'd really, really love to hear about other people's DMT experiences. That's one of my favorite things to read, is stories about psychedelic trips. So yeah, tell me your story the first time you tried DMT. And we'll be here again next week, hopefully on Sunday. If not, some other day. This is Nameless, signing off.